Hello everybody, Old Soldier here. Today we're going to talk about the eternal question, Zippo or BIC. And by BIC, I mean any disposable lighter. The Zippo lighter is a classic. Alright, you know, the one problem with them is the fuel, be it lighter fluid or anything else, gasoline, it evaporates quickly. Alright? So there's a lot of people that say, hey, this is a BIC, but this goes to all disposable butane lighters. Just throw one of these in your pack. Alright? You know, there's a little something to be said for both sides. Alright? This Zippo I bought in like 1983 or 1984. Now, I don't smoke. And some people think, hey, that's a little weird that you carry a lighter and you don't smoke. And part of my everyday carry is, you guessed it, a disposable butane lighter, not a Zippo. But, you know, there was a period of time where I did carry this frequently. And, you know, you have to fill them up, the fuel evaporates, and you have to refill it. Now, look, I have buddies who have used part of a bicycle tube and just run it over this, and what it does is it greatly slows down the amount of fuel evaporation. It also makes it, if not waterproof, water resistant if you're in the woods or in the field. Now, I had a long standing argument online with a man who's kind of a buffoon, and he fancied himself an outdoorsman. He probably was, but, you know. And he's like, look, everybody knows, very condescendingly during the conversation, talking down to me that, you know, hey, this is the way to go. Well, you know, in some ways, there's a little bit to what he says, but, you know, if you want to carry one of these in your gear, and, you know, have a way to seal it, or you just keep a spare bottle in your gear, why not? The reason why GIs carried these all through World War II, I'm not going to sing to fire the first time today, maybe I need a new flint, is that they can use gasoline. They can use other types of fuel other than lighter fluid, and then that's the way they were. So, like, if you're in some environment where, you know, you have not necessarily a wilderness situation, but maybe a primitive situation where you can always find gas or other type of fuel for this, or lighter fluid, you're fine. Where you might not necessarily there might not necessarily be butane lighters, you know, for sale. And when these things run out, yes, I am aware there's techniques you can use the flint to start a fire. I get it. But, you know, by and large, you know, use one of these things, throw it away. They cost a couple bucks. You buy them in packs. I have a buddy of mine. He is another special operator, former special operator. And, like, one of his things was, you should just stash these things all through your gear. There's something to be said for that. And sometimes I do that, too. You know, there's a little bit, and, you know, fire is very important. But I think it all comes down to, rather than Zippo or BIC, or any other type of disposable lighter, I think this is a, Scripto? Or rather, one or the other, how about Zippo and BIC? Because they both have their time and place. And one thing I will say, I've had this for almost 40 years, and there was a time, like I said, I liked the windproof flame that it produces. Boy, I'm having a hard time with this thing today. I like the windproof flame that it produces. There was a time that I carried them on me when I went to the field, and one time I thrashed it pretty well, broke the top off, and I sent it back to Zippo, and they refurbished it and sent it back to me. Now, yeah, I bought this when I was in the Army, and I was a teenager, and yes, I bought the camouflage model, because if I drop it, you know, I want to be sure that it mixes in with surrounding and I never find it. But no, it looked cool at the time. And there is something about, you know, classic about a Zippo. So, yes, my everyday carry and a lot of my gear, I do stash disposable lighters, is one way of making fire. But I will say this, when a small town sheriff is pushing you when you simply want to eat, and you take your deuce and a half and run over to a gas station, you can't take a BIC, light it, and throw it into the gas to start a fire as you're gaining revenge of the sheriff. And yes, this is a joke. It's if you don't get the references to First Blood, the movie. But really, that is my take. One good tip that I will say and that I do keeps my flints around, and also at the bottom of the foam area, that the wick on the bottom, I also do keep a spare flint. So if I'm out someplace and when I do use this thing, if the flint does happen to run out, there's a spare flint in there, and that is a good technique to use too. But my advice is, hey, if you don't want to mess around with them, but there is a place for Zippos, and some people really like them. There's a lot of veterans that have carried them in the various wars, and they put them in their gear, and they have extra fuel, and they might use a way to prevent the evaporation, a way to stop if you fill one of these with whatever fuel and put it in your pocket right away. You may get a pretty good chemical burn on your leg, and you'll learn, hey, not to do it. But this is a timeless. Maybe it's a little dated, but maybe I'm an old school guy. But the point being, rather than Zippo or BIC, my opinion, it's Zippo and BIC. Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. I think, wilderness survival in very primitive settings, maybe a BIC should be part of your kit. But maybe if you're in very primitive places or very, I don't know how do you say, very primitive surroundings where yet there is some form of fuel, gas, refined fuel, gas, maybe kerosene, maybe the Zippo is the way to go. Anyway, once again, my 2 cents worth. This is Old Soldier out.